All right, guys. We're gonna get into something a little more serious, something that sparked protest all over the world not too long ago. Something that we all kind of remember, and that is the murder, the assassination, the execution of George Floyd, right? So I guess we're in day three of the actual trial, and jurors heard testimony from a bunch of witnesses during today. It looks like they're actually trying to charge this guy, the officer, with second degree murder, third degree murder, and second degree manslaughter. I think we all remember seeing the footage that went pretty much viral when it happened. A lot of people recorded it. We got witnesses now. The trial is ongoing. Hopefully, I mean, with the record like we've seen, we haven't seen a lot of these cops pay for what they've done or been punished for it. Police department that they work for usually ends up covering for them, or they just get switched around to another department. We've seen that happen. So for me, this was clear cut since the beginning. This guy assassinated this man. He wasn't struggling. He was face down on the ground. I believe he was handcuffed at the time, with the knee on his neck. And now I think we have testimony that says it was more than 8 minutes 46 seconds. It was like more like 9 minutes and some change. Geo or let's start with you. What do you think, man?
I was watching the trial leading up to our conversation, and I know that the defense. I heard the defense's opening statement, and they were trying to blame it on Floyd for his death. They were trying to blame it on his drug use and some of the health problems that he had. But then there's a lot of evidence that shows that, like, if Chauvin had not done what he did to Floyd, like step with his knee on his neck, that he probably would have not died that day, right? They brought in a martial arts expert to the trial, and he described what he saw as what's called a blood choke, and I guess that's when you try to stop the flow of blood in the neck. Um, Even after the ambulances arrived to the scene, they checked his pulse and they said there was no pulse, and then even then Chauvin was not getting off of Floyd. And we know that the police department of Minneapolis has a history of excessive force. There's a lot of complaints that have been filed for years against it. Uh, I'm wondering if, depending on, like, let's say Chauvin is not found guilty, I wonder if it's going to spark more riots and more protests. I sure hope they do if he's found not guilty. But I'm optimistic that I think he will be found guilty for at least one of these charges. I feel like the culture is changing. We definitely feel like a cultural shift in the last year due to the Black Lives Matter movement. At least I hope, and I will be deeply saddened if that's not the case.
Yeah, if this guy doesn't get charged for murder and the other charges that he has, there's definitely going to be another riot. And I think that the city anticipates it because they spend before the trial, they spent I think like 2 million just securing the area, the premises. Like they barricaded the whole what is it, the courthouse, and just so that people can be lingering around or nothing like that. So I already could tell you that, yeah, if things don't go just his way, then yeah, it's gonna happen. um my intuition tells me that this guy did it, but when we deal with when it comes to in the court, intuition just it stays out the door. It's all about like proving it and showing like facts and beyond a reasonable doubt. So the burden of proof is on the prosecutor, right? So they're gonna have to, show somehow that Floyd knew what he was doing and he had those intentions to do what he did, right? As far as the evidence, or at least like the angle that I think the prosecutors are going for, they're showing a lot of video evidence, right? They're trying really hard to really, make it known that, look, man, this is not normal. Like you guys were saying, the knee to the neck for 9 minutes and 29 seconds. By the way, Alan, that's what I got in my notes. Nine twenty
Thank you.
nine is not. You're welcome. It's not normal. Like that's not a move. Like you don't see that and I don't think you're trained that way. You know what? No, I know you're not trained that way. Like it makes like zero sense to be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna put my knee on someone's neck for almost 10 minutes, right? Wow, this guy's handcuffed. Like, what is he gonna do? He's handcuffed,
Hmm.
right? Like you see other people get handcuffed for like worse offenses and nothing, and they don't get the knee to the neck. Anyways, but the defendant, the lawyers for Chauvin, they're stressing, um, trying to take the attention from the video and going over to something that's not visual. Like they trying really hard to persuade the jury to not look at the videos. Like they're trying to tell them like, hey, that's just a video. In fact, I think that even like there was a part in the trial where one of the lawyers said that for Chauvin said that I have it right here. Everything looks exaggerated on video. That's their reason. They're saying like, don't look at the videos because it's exaggerated. Of course, it looks like this guy's like it's about to take his head off with his knee in his head.
Yeah,
Like, no,
yeah.
man.
You can't exaggerate fucking time, dude. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, is the 9 minutes and 26 seconds exaggerated? Like, was that put in slow mo? Like, is that what they're trying to say? Like, come on, man, that's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm getting a little bit heated. I don't want to be, but it's just like I said, it's just intuition, man. Like if you can see it, right, and you want to stand back and say, I need more proof, right, then take a hard look at yourself first, and really, like study your life and ask yourself like, why is it the way? Why do you think the way you do, right? Why do you perceive certain things the way you do? But yeah, I mean, this is not our first time around. Like we've had this before. I mean, we talk about this. Another thing. Sorry. The the idea of race being a factor has not yet played into the trial, right? And some experts were saying that it might not even play in at
Don't
all.
even need it. Like, you don't fucking like need it at all.
I agree. I don't think you need it, but also in terms of like the prosecution, like the prosecutors, I think that they're looking at it as like it's very risky to go down that path, right? Because it might not, it's really hard. Like I've always said this, like it's really hard to show and prove that someone is like has racist intentions or had racist intentions when they commit an act, right?
Yeah.
Unless they like um unless they verbally say it and then they do the action, then it becomes like a hate crime, right? But for the most part, like it's really hard to put those two together, right? Like, oh, you did it because you hate certain people of certain colors.
But though you can look at fucking universal protocol, right? So you can see how, like you just said, other people have been handcuffed for fucking a lot worse, right? Or for a lot less. You have George Floyd who was doing whatever he was doing. I can't even remember what he was doing or why he got
Counterfeit. I think it was a counterfeit $20.
kind
Like
of
they called,
okay.
yeah, they called it
So
in.
he used a dirty 20, right? And he gets basically killed on the street, right? Executed on the street by an officer, and then you have these two shooters or three shooters now, right? That just shot up open places with ARs, and they both made it out. Like, you can look at those things and be like, yo, if that individual himself isn't racist, then you can look above him and see that the institution itself, like, the departments above them, they have obviously have different fucking protocols for for black men or just black people in general, or people of color, versus these white shooters, right? Like, and to say, just to be more kind to the situation. What was I trying to say? To be the fuck is the word? To
Generous.
be yeah to be
Sensitive.
to be generous, one of those fucking shooters was Syrian, right? He came from a Syrian family. But then we looked at him and he kind of looked just like a fat white guy, right? Like he could have been like any white guy with a beard. So maybe if those officers would have been told ahead of time, like, yo, there's a Syrian guy in there shooting people, I think they would have loaded bullets in that guy, dude, to be honest. So I think you don't even need the racist part, right? The dude killed the guy. He killed the fucking guy. He assassinated a guy on the street. Period. Fucking point blank. Everybody saw it. People fucking recorded it. And then when I want to go back to what I said earlier, right? Because people are gonna be like, "Oh, fucking Alan said fuck the police." What I fucking mean by that shit is this, right? You have guys covering for each other. We got a bunch of guys surrounding the situation that are not saying, "Yo, get off of his neck," right? For 10 minutes. Nobody's fucking coming to the rescue. Nobody. And then on top of that, right? We have the situation where the autopsy bullshit, right? These guys did an autopsy and we're trying to say, oh, the reason why he died or his heart stopped was because he had fentanyl in his system and he had all these drugs in his system and blah blah blah. And that's the reason he died, not the knee on the neck, right? Bullshit, right? I think the family did an independent autopsy, and they were like, "Nah, man, this guy died from asphyxiation. Like they choked him. They choked him to death. Like that's why he died." Right, so the shadiness even goes up to right to so you got these officers defending the one officer doing the bad thing. You got the people who do the autopsy in the fucking labs. They're fucking defending this guy and creating this fucking narrative about him being on drugs. And then that goes through the police chief and he fucking says it to the entire fucking world on live fucking TV, right? Like, yo, fucking this guy had fentanyl in his system and that's why he fucking, that's why he died. And then you have fucking people like Candace Owens who fucking likes to, every time a black man is killed by a fucking police officer, likes to read off their fucking record. But when it's somebody who has no fucking police record, she doesn't even fucking touch that fucking situation, right? It's just this snowball fucking effect, all because these fucking cops are dirty. Right? So it affects everything, even to the way we fucking talk about politics. Like, because we got this fucking institution that only backs each other up, right? When they do something shady, right? Of course, there's people who put on the fucking uniform and want to do good shit, of course. But Massa wants you to fucking kill people, dude. Like, they don't fucking care. Like, they don't want you to kill people, but if you do, oops.
Yeah. So one thing is, he's being put on trial, and I think somebody made a point about this during the trial that we should differentiate this between a trial for Chauvin and a trial for the police department.
Yeah.
You could, and then I think the other there's three other officers, right, that were arrested.
Mm-hmm.
You could bring them in and be like they're co-conspirators, but then to prove like a larger conspiracy and talk about like really what we're talking about is like a massive conspiracy, not a theory, right? But we know there's a conspiracy within the police department to protect each other, right? But to prove that is a lot more difficult. But then again, we've already had the Minneapolis Police Department be disbanded, right? It was disbanded last year, which is a good step in the right direction.
Mm-hmm.
But now we need to hold like the people directly responsible for his death. We definitely need to charge them, and then see like how can we build a better police department, or how can we reform police departments in general throughout the country.
Yeah, I was just thinking about how I remember Floyd's brother saying that Chauvin and Floyd knew each other, like that they've met before,
Yeah.
and that they supposedly had quote unquote bumped heads before. I don't know what that means or how is it insinuated. I don't know exactly how much truth that is, right? But I mean, I've also heard it from another person, not their brother, or his brother. Someone else has also claimed that they know each other. So, I remember when he died, all this information was coming out thereafter,
Mm-hmm.
and this is all things that if the prosecutors are doing their job right, which I believe they are, eventually they're gonna bring something like this up as well, right? where it wasn't just like some stranger. It was like, dude, like, you know him, you've seen him before, you've met him somehow, and you guys had beef, right? Um, is it a coincidence that he just like happened to find Floyd and be like, oh, here's my chance?
Hmm.
I don't know, man. You know, it's just like a lot of these things are is less of a coincidence now when you add these things up, right? But
Yeah.
again, I'm not too sure how much truth there is to that. But it's something to keep in mind, right? That, you know, this was not, even if we forget about that, like, it's just too much happened for it to be like, yeah, you know, it was an accident. You know, I mean, 9 minutes and 29 seconds is not an accident.
Yeah, man. If we sit here in silence for 9 minutes and 26 seconds, dude, it would seem like a fucking eternity, right? Like, we got videos that are shorter than that, right? So yeah, it's disgusting. It's brutal. That guy belongs under the fucking jail, right? The way they say, like, they should bury that fool under the fucking jail. That fool's a fucking scumbag, right? And any police officer who has done something like that, or who has killed anyone, right? Like the people that fucking killed Breonna Taylor, the people that killed Tamir Rice, the people that killed fucking, you know, Ayana Jones, the people that killed all those, you know, before Floyd, there was like 5 other people that I can't even like fucking remember because they were just back to back to back to back, right? And when people say, "Oh, what the fuck is Black Lives Matter?" You know, why are they protesting? Like, this is fucking why. You know, like, we're going to trial over something that was clear cut a fucking murder. You know, in broad daylight. You know, so not only did the officer think like, "Yo, I could get away with this," I could get away with this in broad daylight while people record it. And that to me is just automatic. Like, fucking give that guy the chair. Take him to a state where they got the chair. I don't know. Fucking do something. Hey guys, don't forget to like and subscribe if you like what you hear. And if you want to hear some of the issues that you care about discussed on Discussion Lounge, go ahead and drop them in the comments section.